So this is a quick little demo of exploring running test tones through some pedal circuits that I'm breadboarding here, and then seeing the result on an oscilloscope and a spectrum analyzer. So we've got a sine wave, which we are not hearing. Let me turn that up. Okay, there it is coming through. This is just a passive volume at the end here. And if I bypass the circuit, that's the original sine wave. Nothing very interesting. It's just a single op amp. But what's fun about doing this, which I have never really done before, is you can really see what happens with clipping. So this is a TLO71. It's a single power supply, 9 volts. It's biased at the halfway point, 4.5. But interestingly, let me turn down this output because I'm going to crank the input. You can actually really see on the scope here exactly when it starts to clip. And you'll hear it. It's very audible right when it starts to clip. There it is. And you can see it right at the bottom, the negative peak of the wave, that it actually starts to clip asymmetrically. Which is pretty interesting. It makes me wonder if I should play with that bias a little, and maybe it would be happier at something other than 4.5. Yeah, and right around here is when it starts to clip the upper half, and this is the maximum amount of gain I've got this set for at the moment. So that's as much clipping as I can get out of the op amp. And it's fun to see how things evolve on the spectrum analyzer too. Actually, let me take the frequency down some. Yeah, if I clean it up by turning down the gain, how much gain can I get out of this before it starts to clip? Somewhere right around there. So I can get a little more than 10 dB of gain, maybe 11 or 12. 12-ish looks like, at least at this frequency. With the level that I'm hitting the input with should be pretty similar to what comes out of my guitar. The other thing I've got going on here is clipping diodes, which are unplugged. But if I complete that part of the circuit, so there's one LED. There's the other LED. There's both. Let's see. Silicon and schottky. My favorite combination I've found so far playing guitar through it is, yeah, I like this guy. One LED and one schottky. It's super asymmetrical. I also like it at minimum gain, where it's just that very smooth bit of clipping on the bottom there. Like, that sounds great on pace. Like, check this out. Yeah, it's a very fat, nice thing. Just for fun, let's try cranking the gain with this diode configuration. Yep. You can do wacky stuff like having just the one schottky diode. for more gain. It's also fun looking at the scope down here because, like, you can really see. This is fun. Like if I change to a triangle wave, okay, that's going through the converters. This is going through the op amp at minimum gain and maximum output. It's pretty similar. You can see the shape changed a little, but spectrum didn't change much. I mean, you know, there's a little glitch when the pop from the bypass, but the spectrum is pretty similar until, let's see, until we start clipping. Like, okay, so we're going to show that first with no diodes. Gradually turning it up until we start to hit that asymmetrical clip on the bottom peak, which is somewhere around there. It's amazing to me how audible that threshold is. It's easier to see if I set the frequency to, let's say, 100, so it lines up nicely on the spectrum analyzer here. Yeah, so we can see there's the fundamental at 100. There's nothing at 200. Let me turn this down a little bit. Okay, so no clipping now. This is clean. So we've got 100. We've got a strong third harmonic. We're skipping 200. That's because that's just what you get with a triangle wave. We get the odd ones. So we get 300, we get 500, we get 7, and we're skipping all the even ones. And the instant we push the gain enough to clip it all, those guys immediately start filling in from the higher ones first and then down to the lower ones. And you can see that if you look closely in between these lines on the spectrum analyzer. So watch that. What happens is I gradually turn up the clipping. Still nothing. Everything's just getting a little louder. Oh, yeah. Can't quite hear it, but you can start to see the other overtones in between. But they're way down. They're way down in the noise floor, so we're not hearing them yet. But we're on the edge. That I can hear. Like that's just a different sound. And it's interesting to me, wave shapes are interesting in an oscilloscope. They tell you something, but they don't tell you everything. Because there's stuff you can hear that you can barely see, and sometimes vice versa. But yeah, like as we turn that up, all the diodes are actually switched off on these selector buttons, but there's some filter caps on there. Forgot to tell you that. And again, like you can see a little change in the waveform when I bring those in, but you can hear it a lot more. Like you wouldn't really know what that sounds like by looking at this guy. You can sort of see it more here because the upper ones get quieter when I kick on the caps because it's a low pass filter. So that's with the caps off. Look how much there's all this stuff way up above 10K, those caps on, that's all just gone. I think I figured out that it was somewhere around 1.5 that they're down by about 3 dB. That's around where the 3 dB point is. So somewhere right around here, when I switch the caps off, you should see them come back up by about 3 dB. So from about here to, I don't know, around here somewhere. Something like that. Let's see if that happens. I'm going to leave this line where I think it's going to go. Yeah, pretty close. Yeah, so that's very audible. You switch these diodes back on and see what happens. Let's bring both the LEDs on. Yeah. Interesting. It actually brings the fundamental down some, but there's more going on in the overtones. Yep. And if I go to the schottkys, which are the most distorted thing I've got, we'll see the same thing even more. The fundamental will get more quiet, and there'll be more overtones. Well, that's interesting. Not a ton of overtones. Maybe it's just because it's so... yeah, you can kind of see if I bring the level up. And I'll turn off the filter caps too. Yeah, there's the schottkys. Ooh, there's the LEDs, so much louder. There's the silicon. Schottkys again. Let's see, how about a little bit of Asym? That's Schottky and silicon. Alright, that's just op-amp clipping. I kind of enjoy just having one really extreme clip. And it's interesting that they don't sound the same. Like, if I turn on one clipping diode, that looks like it's hitting the negative half of the cycle. And it sounds very different than what's happening on the top half if I do the other side. Such a different tone. It's like, I guess that's why you really have to do this stuff by ear. So I've got a theory that maybe the reason the diodes don't sound the same when you turn opposing ones on or off is because the op-amp clipping is already asymmetrical. Like, it's very asymmetrical. That's just wild. I like how synthy that sounds. It's like a PWM synth, kind of. Not sure what makes that chorusy effect, but I love it. Okay, so anyway, yeah, this is fun. And it's convinced me that I want a real oscilloscope so I don't have to route all this crap into my computer to get this happening. And it would also be easier to play with getting the test tone levels right if I had like a proper VU meter going into the breadboard. Yeah, that's fun. So now we're going to try it with guitar. It's going to sound like crap because I'm not using a speaker simulator right now. Okay, so here's a guitar. And I changed my mind. I did hook up a speaker sim because it just sounds too awful without it. Yep, it's a guitar. Let's turn on the circuit. Yeah, right now it's just a clean buffer, but if I turn this up, we can play with the clipping. Definitely hear it on the bridge pickup. Yep. Yep, that's just op-amp clipping, which supposedly is bad, but why? It's not. And if we crank it, uh-oh, something wiggled loose. There we go. Yep. And let's try just the filter caps. That's just a low pass. It's just a shunt capacitor in parallel with the diodes to ground. So it tames some of that high end. And now we're at, let's see, yeah, that's at max gain. I do think I want to put more gain in this circuit. Here's that thing with just one schottky. That's kind of awesome. That's just super asymmetrical, just one diode. Let's try the thing that I liked with one schottky and one LED. Yeah, that's still my favorite. Sound. This is not through an amp, this is just through a cab sim. Right, that's fun. What's the moral of the story? Op-amp distortion doesn't suck. Super simple circuits. This is basically an OD250, just with different caps, different gain control, different diodes. And I want an oscilloscope, I want a volume control, I want a test tone generator. Ooh, I have one, just haven't built it. Okay, the end.